Peace. John Killer Knowledge, one of the hosts of Knowledge to Self Radio. About to do an exclusive on-the-site interview here in Long Beach at Shades of Africa. Come check it out.
Greetings, and thank you for Knowledge of Self Radio, the opportunity to speak to you from there. My name is Renee Quarles, and I am the owner and CEO of Shades of Africa, Long Beach. We are now 2 stores strong, so we are Shades of Africa, the corporation, and have 2 locations to serve you here in Southern California. The purpose of this interview is really to give you insight into the backdrop of Shades of Africa and how it began and what continues to drive her in the direction that you see. Shades of Africa is actually opened with my sister Vonia Quarles, who literally had taken a trip to Jamaica, came home and was hollering and screaming that Jamaicans have businesses of their own, why don't we? So that's basically what stemmed the opening of Shades of Africa Long Beach. She named it, and in considering the name, she wanted to take away the C, which I believe, if we do our homework and our history, the C in Africa had associated itself with Caucasus or something like that, and so the K was put in as the original spelling of Africa. In the first 5 years of Shades of Africa, it was a very serious struggle because no one knew we were here, and the myth that sisters and brothers would not support their own at the time of almost 20 years ago, we're speaking about 20 some years ago now, African Americans weren't trusting themselves to purchase from or to even consider as a mechanic. We were seeking other means of having our cars repaired, and none of our monies went into our own hand. For me, I was actually working and realized that when I wanted a black art image, I shouldn't have to find it at Sears. And when I did my homework even further, found that I could make a purchase of that same art image and retail it at a better price than Sears. It was motivation. It was the motivation that drove me and continues today to drive me to seek out our own black authors, artists, illustrators, sculptors, handwood and hand basket carvers, you name it. I look for the product makers that are like me. I want them to, I nurture their products because I choose to represent in my own way, my own product lines. Shades of Africa is more about you than it is about me. You have trusted this owner, myself and my family, to intake your seed, and with that seed have trusted us to do the best we could with it. So we've always assured you that we'd have something new for you, and your monies would continue to be circulated here, and that's what you've seen over the 20 years. You've seen us bring in a dime and a dollar. We've been grateful to your planting of those seeds so that we can empower ourselves with more purchases from more black creators of everything. Our reading room now has over 400 titles in stock of black authors, artists, and illustrators. The beauty and body care section is filled with the top of the line of the women's healthy hair cares, including Thank God I'm Natural, Comedic Biologies, Miss Jessie's, Uncle Funky's Daughter, Talia Waheed. The list goes on. We've also noticed that we didn't want to use a lot of the pharmaceutically made products, meaning toothpaste, deodorants, even bar soaps on our bodies. So we brought into perspective our healthy body care and oral care line, so that you can pick up toothpaste here with no fluoride, so that you can have a deodorant with no antiperspirant, so that you can take home bentonite clay and your families can learn to make their own products. Activated charcoal, Dr. Goss, New Body, All of these things are what we feel at Shades of Africa will keep a healthy, happy African American family content and assured that they're buying the best they can with their dimes and their dollars. I am not the traditional type of girl when it comes to being educated in the classroom and graduating with certificates or having any special music classes or anything. I literally am a sister who barely made it through high school. My education came from basically being in the park. I didn't do well in school. The deans, I remember, used to even go to the grocery store to find my mother and ask where I might be, and she knew, but she would never tell them. I lived in the park, and I lived around the hustlers, and I lived with, I learned to do everything and anything that was out there to do at the time for a young girl. I could buy beer at 14, it was no biggie. I was big for my size, and they let me. So I was just like a life of a party, that I was actually doubting my own addictions. I had, it was the 90s. I had just survived the 80s, which had introduced a whole new concept to the world of getting high and drugs through cocaine, rock, ether base, whatever you want to call it. Shades of Africa was what it took to save my life. Because as I understood that God had given me something, and that was you. Every strange person, any person I had just met was more important to me than me. And I took pride in being there for them. I find today that I don't regret any of my beginnings, because my beginnings got me thus far. And I say this to you in hopes that you will understand that a degree today does not warrant your success. You are as successful as you intend to be. And I find blessings in the fact that I really don't consider myself on a daily basis as much as I do how I can touch the heart and the mind of my own peoples. I have a revolutionary spirit because I grew up, I am a product of the 60s. I am so absorbed in the speeches of not only King, Malcolm, Angela Davis, Marcus Garvey. I had so many mentors that were of that type of character of revolutionaries, more than I did any other person in my neighborhood. For that spirit alone is so well engraved in my heart and me that I every day consider more about what I can do to make a difference in the community and not just me. You see, my blessings have all flowed because I care more about something else or someone else than I do myself. With or without a degree, I think that's something that we as a people should just understand, that your ancestors are always listening to you. Your ancestors, I still today, for my own personal practice, I give thanks to the sun and the moon. I give thanks to all my own ancestors, my son being my first loss in life. I lost my son, so he was my first angel very early on. It took me quite a few years to find no resentment, because I resented the hospital that made me go home. So I had to get rid of the resentment for my blessings to flow. So there were some times in my life when I, like everyone, will have to remove from their hearts, and you'll know what they are. You remove from your heart any resentment so that you can truly be blessed in all things. I'm not religious in any way. I give thanks to the pimps and the hoes and actually the liquor store owners and the nightclub owners and the war group. Oh, they ministered to me through song, through deed. I give thanks for the Panthers that fed children on their way to school. I give thanks today for so much. Mumia, Abu Jamal.
Well, now you have the prison industrial complex. And you have what is the ultimate solution to America's economic problem.
Someone who I've watched since the early days of his writings of the Black Panther newsletter. I give thanks to everything, including you. Eminent domain came up on us really. I had warning. I was notified by the city. I was notified by the owner of my building where I was leasing that we were all going to have to leave. And when I began to hear this, of course I was angry. I was angry that the city would even attempt to take 14 or so businesses out of business and just occupy 4 blocks of the downtown area themselves, and they do. They still do. they've made it a parking lot, basically. I was furious. I then was the first one to go online and give what is called Pac-Man eminent domain. It was Long Beach. Long Beach was the Pac-Man eminent domain, and I used that little Pac-Man little creature because I could see them eating up all the property throughout all of downtown Long Beach. And then they throw this little white picket fence on it, really to make me mad. I mean, the white picket fence thing, just like, wow. In front of me, all in my face, all throughout North Long Beach, anywhere in Long Beach. When you see a white picket fence, remember I said this. It is the city holding land in front of you. I learned a very valuable lesson, and I really want to share that with you now. As a black business and any person in business, if we are not owning what we are in, we're vulnerable. And all of those who've attempted businesses in leasing situations are very well aware of what I'm saying. You're vulnerable because everything and anybody else around you has the power to put you in or put you out. As the city was making sure that all of us were getting ready to make our major move, they began showing me all of the new developers' designs. I mean, they really thought I was stupid that I would even consider paying rent or lease amounts at the amount of $8,000 to $10,000 a month. I thought that I was like, my mother would roll over and kick my butt if she knew I was doing this. But the truth was, I had to be smarter than them. I pulled the race card. Yeah, you can say I did that. I pulled the race card because what I realized in this eminent domain takeover was that there was no African American art presence in what they called their art district. How can you have an art district that does not include an African American art presence? Well, that was the card I needed. They had to cash me out, and before they did, in fact, they didn't even cash me out until I had already gone out and put all my savings, there I go again, using the savings. I used the savings from 3rd Street to 4th Street to make sure, and in fact, if I were to tell you my personal sacrifice for this, you would either laugh or, I don't know. My personal sacrifice was, I had a moment in my life where my dental had become a major problem, and I was asked to consider spending about $60,000 for my mouth and my teeth and my dental. And I knew I had the savings, but I also knew at the same time that the city of Long Beach was trying to put us out. So if I had anything, I felt more like you had given it to me than any medical had ever. I don't have medical insurance. But so I knew the people had given it to me, and it just felt selfish. If I would never be the one to put that kind of money in my mouth, let me tell you that now. I don't want their screws. I don't want anything they've got. So the $60,000 came over to this property you now know as Shades of Africa, located at 1001 East 4th, was the deposit needed to make sure that I'd have a place for us to land. And in ownership of the building, I've never been more pleased and more secure in knowing that every dime and dollar you spend here has afforded everything else you see. We had been saving a little money, and in my savings account I had almost $30,000, or just about $30,000, and I realized on my monthly statement that it wasn't even getting $10 a month to keep all my money in there. Well, you know me in numbers. It didn't compute. I said, wow, that doesn't make sense. It's been in there almost a year and there's still no growth in the interest. So a few walks and talks on the beach with a very good friend named Tyler literally proved that we could do something different. And we didn't know it exactly. So to make a long story short, we were at Ibex, a wonderful Ethiopian restaurant. We were having dinner, and outside in the parking lot, I noticed that there were some sisters sitting in their cars waiting to get into this 2-chair natural hair salon for these other sisters to do their hair. It was almost midnight. That was the striking moment. I said, that's it, Tyler, I need a salon. Look, if they'll stay outside to see their stylist, I need a salon. And that's what started Natural Kinks and Waves. The $30,000, now here's where I want you to learn business in the number sense. $30,000 sitting in the bank not doing nothing. And I mean, it took me all of 3 to 5 years to save that money. But the truth is, it was sitting there not doing nothing. I took it out, nobody could believe me. My family was like, you doing what? I know, I only had that savings and I'm still good with it. I took $30,000 out of my savings and poured it into the room and made a most beautiful Natural Kinks and Waves hair salon for 3 sisters to come to work and be proud to work in. Do you know what that room does now? It gives back $20,800 a year. Now that's mathematics. You see what I did? I took 30,000 that the bank was just using. They just kept it and kept it and kept it. Well, now we're keeping 3 new jobs in our neighborhood, and I'll do it again if you allow me to do so. Thank you. Shades of Africa Long Beach is very well suited to provide for you for the next 30 or 50 years, and your children as well. Now it's time to consider Atlanta. Atlanta, North Carolina, Charlotte. I'm a little partial to both, and I'm going to begin this year and somehow in the 2015 begin to seriously make motions to land as well in another city, metropolitan area of our choice. Wish me luck on this. Give thanks. I want to give thanks for being one of over 2 million black-owned businesses throughout the U.S. What I've learned is that I believe it is Washington, or it's D.C. It is Washington, D.C. that's holding the record of 28%. But of those 2 million just plus businesses, I found that all of them, including me, hire 4+ persons. So if we just do the math on that, peoples, I just think we're going to have a whole lot more before you know it. Let's give ourselves 20 years, 20 more years of deliberate intent on serving our own with our money, our dime, our dollar, a hand like our own, and let's see if we not have a place for our children to go to work. I just know we will. I give thanks to you and thank you for listening. How's that? I'm making it